Jim's parents. Jim wakes up from a coma in an empty hospital, wanders around naked for a bit, and eventually makes it home, only to find a lovely note from his parents explaining they've offed themselves to avoid becoming rage monsters. Thanks for the welcome home party, guys. This isn't just sad. It's the franchise telling you right out of the gate that sometimes the scariest thing isn't the infected, it's the hopelessness. His parents chose peace over fighting, which, honestly, fair. But it also sets Jim up as someone who's lost everything before he even understands what's happened. Their deaths aren't dramatic or heroic, they're quiet and devastating, which somehow makes it worse. What makes this hit harder is the note itself. They apologize, they explain their reasoning, they're calm about it, like they're leaving instructions for watering the plants. The apocalypse has been going on for 28 days, and they've already accepted that there's no hope. Meanwhile, Jim's been unconscious the whole time, completely oblivious. He misses the panic, the chaos, the government collapse, and wakes up to find his parents chose death over waiting to see if he'd survive. The guilt of that has to be crushing. Their deaths also establish a theme that runs through the entire franchise. Sometimes the infected aren't the ones who kill you. Sometimes it's despair, loneliness, or just the realization that the world you knew is gone forever. Jim's parents represent all the people who didn't make it past the first week, not because they were weak, but because they couldn't bear to live in what came next. The activist who gets infected. Shout out to the animal rights activist who broke into a lab to free infected chimps and got bitten approximately 3 seconds into her good deed. She goes from save the animals to I am the animal, faster than you can say, maybe don't touch the rage monkey. Her death is important because it's patient zero for the whole apocalypse. This is the moment everything goes wrong, and it happens because someone had good intentions and zero common sense. The rage virus doesn't care about your morals, it just wants a host. Her transformation is instantaneous and violent, proving that this isn't your grandma's slow zombie virus. You get bitten, you turn, you're done. No dramatic goodbyes, no last words, just pure unfiltered rage in under 10 seconds. The brilliance of this opening is how mundane it is. These activists aren't villains. They're idealistic people who think they're doing the right thing. The scientists literally beg them to stop, explaining that the chimps are infected with rage, but the activists assume it's a lie to cover up animal abuse. It's a failure of communication and trust that costs humanity everything. Within seconds of being bitten, the activist's eyes turn red. She starts convulsing, and then she attacks her friends. The infection is so fast that there's no time to contain it, no time to quarantine, no time to even understand what's happening. By the time anyone realizes how bad this is, it's already over. Mark, the infected survivor. Mark is part of Selena's group, and he seems like a decent guy trying to survive in London's nightmare landscape. Then he gets a single drop of infected blood on him during a scuffle, and Selena hacks him to pieces with a machete before he even finishes turning. No hesitation. No, let's see if he'll be okay. Just immediate, brutal execution. Mark's death is a teaching moment. In this world, sentiment gets you killed. Selena's efficiency is horrifying, but it's also why she's alive. Mark's importance isn't about who he was. It's about what his death teaches Jim. There are no second chances. You either kill your friends, or they kill you. Welcome to the apocalypse, buddy. Jim is horrified by how fast Selena moves. Mark is barely showing symptoms, and she's already swinging. But Selena has seen what happens when you wait. She's probably lost people before because she hesitated, and she's not making that mistake again. Mark's death also introduces Jim to the reality that everyone is one accident away from becoming the enemy. A drop of blood in the eye, a scratch you didn't notice, a bite you thought wasn't deep enough. It doesn't matter. The virus doesn't grade on a curve. Mark was careful, skilled, and experienced, and he still died because survival in this world is 90% luck and 10% ruthlessness. Frank, Hannah's father. Frank is genuinely one of the good ones. He's a taxi driver, a loving dad, and he's kept his daughter Hannah alive through the worst of the outbreak by being smart, careful, and kind. He's basically the MVP of survival. Then, during what should be a triumphant moment, finally reaching the military blockade, a single drop of infected blood falls into his eye from a corpse dangling above him. 1. Drop. He goes from, we made it, to I'm infected in the time it takes to blink. The soldiers execute him immediately, while Hannah screams. Frank's death is brutal, because it's so random and unfair. He did everything right and still lost. It's the universe's way of saying that in the world of 28 days later, luck matters more than skill. And sometimes you just get screwed. What makes Frank's death so devastating is the timing. They've just found the military. They're laughing, relieved, thinking they're finally safe. Frank is hugging his daughter, and then it happens. A corpse hanging from a barricade drips blood directly into his eye. He doesn't get bitten in a dramatic fight. He doesn't sacrifice himself heroically. He just gets unlucky in the worst possible way. Frank knows immediately what it means. He tells Hannah to get away from him, and within seconds he's transforming. The soldiers don't even wait for him to fully turn before they shoot him, which is protocol but also heartbreaking. Hannah loses her father right at the moment when safety was supposed to begin. Frank represents every person who survived the impossible, only to die in the stupidest, most preventable way imaginable. His death also reinforces that the virus is everywhere. It's in the air, in the water, on every surface. You can be as careful as you want, but eventually, probability catches up. Major Henry West. Major West is the commanding officer of the military outpost Jim's group stumbles into, and at first, he seems like salvation. Then you realize his grand plan for repopulating Britain involves keeping women as breeding stock for his soldiers. Cool, totally not horrifying. West represents authority without morality. He's got the guns and the base, but he's lost his humanity. When Jim goes full feral and releases an infected soldier into the compound, chaos erupts and West gets his comeuppance. His death matters because it proves that the real monsters aren't always infected. Sometimes they're just men with power who've decided the apocalypse is a free pass to be terrible. West thinks he's being pragmatic. In his mind, civilization is over, and the only way to rebuild is through force and reproduction. He's not cackling evilly. He genuinely believes this is the logical solution, which makes him scarier. He's not insane. He's just someone who decided that morality is a luxury they can't afford anymore, and he's convinced his men of the same thing. The soldiers at the mansion have gone weeks without seeing women, and West has essentially given them permission to assault Selena and Hannah as a reward for their service. It's grotesque, and it's a dark commentary on how quickly societal structures collapse when there's no accountability. When Jim realizes what's happening, he doesn't try to reason with West or appeal to his better nature. He goes full survivor mode, chaining up an infected soldier and letting it loose during dinner. The resulting chaos is poetic justice. West's men turn on each other in the panic, the infected tears through them, and West himself is killed in the crossfire. His death proves that tyranny is fragile. Take away the guns and the walls, and monsters like West have nothing. Don, Alice's husband. Don starts 28 weeks later as a husband and father trying to protect his family during the initial outbreak. Then the infected storm the house they're hiding in, and Don makes the executive decision to abandon his wife Alice and run for his life. He escapes, she doesn't. He spends months racked with guilt, reunites with his kids, and then, plot twist, finds out Alice survived and is immune. He kisses her. Sweet. Right? Wrong. He's a carrier, gets infected through their kiss, and becomes the catalyst for the second outbreak. Don's death is ironic karma at its finest. The man who ran from danger becomes the danger. He's killed after infecting dozens, including his own son, proving that cowardice doesn't pay, and guilt is a terrible motivator. His kids don't know he abandoned their mother, and he's too ashamed to tell them the truth. Then Alice turns up alive in quarantine, and Don thinks he's getting a second chance. He sneaks in to see her, kisses her, and that's when everything goes wrong. Alice is immune, but still carries the virus, and Don isn't immune. Within seconds, he transforms into an infected, but he retains just enough awareness to hunt down his wife first. He kills Alice in a rage-fueled attack, then escapes into the safe zone and starts infecting everyone. Don's transformation is unique because he seems to retain fragments of recognition. He tracks down his son, Andy, specifically, as if some part of him remembers. His death comes later after he's infected hundreds of people and destroyed the entire green zone. Soldiers finally gun him down, but by then the damage is done. Don's importance is that he proves even the safe survivors can restart the apocalypse. One carrier, one moment of weakness, and the whole cycle begins again. Alice, the immune carrier. Alice survives the first outbreak, gets captured by the military, and is revealed to be asymptomatic. She carries the virus but doesn't turn. She's literally the key to a potential cure, the most important person alive. So naturally, the military shoots her in the head to contain the threat. Alice's death is infuriating because it's bureaucratic murder disguised as protocol. She could have saved humanity, but fear and red tape killed her first. Her importance can't be overstated. Her immunity could have ended the crisis. Instead, her death ensures the virus spreads again, dooming everyone. Thanks, military incompetence, Alice's survival is a miracle. She was left for dead when Dawn abandoned her, but she hid in the cottage and avoided the infected long enough for the military to secure the area weeks later. When they find her, she's confused, scared, and doesn't understand why she's alive. Tests reveal she has the virus in her bloodstream, but shows no symptoms. She's a genetic anomaly, and the scientists are thrilled. This is the breakthrough they've been hoping for. But then Dawn happens. He sneaks in, kisses her, gets infected, and kills her before anyone can stop him. The military's response? Panic. Instead of trying to save her or extract her blood for research, a soldier shoots her in the head to prevent further spread. It's the worst possible decision. Alice's body contained antibodies that could have been synthesized into a vaccine or cure, but fear overrides logic. Andy, Dawn and Alice's son. Andy inherits his mother's immunity, but gets infected by his father during the chaos of the second outbreak. He's a kid stuck between two genetic miracles and one absolute disaster of a parent. He spends most of 28 weeks later running for his life with his sister Tammy, and just when you think he might be okay, the infection wins. Tammy has to leave him behind, watching her little brother turn into one of the monsters. Andy's death is heartbreaking, because he represents hope, a possible cure, a future, a reason to keep fighting. But the franchise doesn't care about hope. It cares about consequences. His death cements the idea that no one is safe, not even immune children. Andy is one of the most tragic characters in the franchise, because he's completely innocent. He's a kid who lost his mother, reunited with his father, and then watched his father turn into an infected and attack him. He gets bitten, but doesn't turn immediately because of his inherited immunity. For a while, it seems like he might be okay. He's bleeding, he's infected, but he's still Andy. Scarlet, the medical officer, realizes he's like his mother and tries to protect him. But the military doesn't care about science. They see an infected child and shoot on sight. Andy escapes with Tammy, but the infection is slowly taking over. By the end of the film, he's showing signs of turning. His eyes start changing, his behavior becomes erratic, and Tammy realizes she's going to lose him. The ambiguity of his fate is brutal. We don't see him fully turn, but we know it's coming. Scarlet, medical officer. Scarlet is a U.S. Army medical officer who actually gives a damn about people, which makes her a unicorn in this universe. She figures out Alice's immunity, tries to protect the kids, and advocates for science over bullets. She's competent, compassionate, and doomed. During the escape from the infected overrun safe zone, Scarlet is killed while defending Tammy and Andy. Her death stings because she's one of the few authority figures who wasn't actively terrible. She tried to do the right thing in a system built to fail, and it killed her. When the orders come down to execute all potentially infected individuals, she refuses. She helps the kids escape, knowing it will probably get her court-martialed or killed. Scarlet is a soldier with a conscience, and in this universe, that's a death sentence. During the chaotic evacuation, infected swarm the green zone, and Scarlet puts herself between them and the children. She fires until her ammo runs out, buys them time to escape, and gets torn apart by the infected. Her death is quick, brutal, and heroic in the way most deaths in this franchise aren't. She's one of the only characters who dies actually trying to save people, not just survive. The infected priest? When Jim wakes up in an empty hospital, the first thing he does is walk into a church looking for help, and immediately gets attacked by an infected priest. Because of course the priest is infected. There are no safe spaces anymore, not even sanctuaries. The priest's death, killed by Jim and Selena during the scuffle, is significant because it's Jim's introduction to the new rules. Churches don't offer refuge. Holy men are just as dangerous as anyone else. God isn't here anymore, buddy. The symbolism is heavy-handed but effective. Faith died with civilization, and now even the house of God is a slaughterhouse. The church scene is designed to break any lingering hope Jim might have. He's been wandering through a dead city, and when he sees a church, he thinks maybe, just maybe, there will be people there. Communities historically gathered in churches during disasters. But this disaster is different. The church is full of corpses piled in the pews, and the priest has turned. He attacks Jim with the same mindless rage as any other infected, and there's nothing holy or sacred about it. And if you think the rage-infected are already the final form of zombies, that's just the beginning. From slow, shambling corpses to sprinting, screaming virus bombs like these, Zombies didn't start here, and they definitely don't end here. If you want to see how we went from voodoo myths to rage-fueled nightmares, check out The Evolution of Zombies Explained for Humans. Because once you understand where zombies came from, movies like 28 Days Later hit a whole lot harder.